Raw blood pudding is one of the most striking and controversial foods you can encounter. For many, it exists beyond the edge of what they can even imagine consuming. The idea of eating raw animal blood is not just unfamiliar, it's deeply unsettling, even repulsive, stirring something instinctual and powerful in the gut. This isn't just about taste or texture. This is about perception, about what it means to consume something so primal, so unfiltered, so direct from life. And yet, for centuries, raw blood pudding has played a meaningful role in the culinary traditions of various cultures, valued for its nutrition, respected for its symbolism, and consumed with pride and reverence. It stands as a reminder that food isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it's raw truth served cold. There is something undeniably visceral about raw blood pudding. Its texture can be smooth or slightly grainy depending on how it's prepared, and the flavor is metallic, earthy, and heavy. It coats the tongue in a way that feels thick, slow, unyielding. There's no distraction here, no seasoning or crispness to cushion the experience. It's the taste of iron, of life itself, and it speaks to a time when eating was survival, not luxury. For many people today, especially those raised in sanitized, highly processed food environments, this directness can be jarring. The color alone, a deep, almost black red, is evocative, even alarming. And that's before the first bite. It's food that dares you to go further, to move past your instincts and explore what lies on the other side of fear. Nutritionally, raw blood pudding is potent. It is extremely high in iron, particularly heme iron, which is the most easily absorbed form for the human body. For individuals with iron deficiency or anemia, this can be an incredibly efficient way to replenish stores quickly. It also contains protein, trace minerals like zinc and selenium, and can be rich in vitamin B12, depending on the animal source. In regions where access to supplements or varied diets is limited, raw blood-based foods have long served as essential nourishment, particularly for those doing hard labor, growing children, or recovering from illness. It is dense, immediate energy, food that fuels not just the body, but tradition. Still, the risks involved cannot and should not be minimized. Consuming raw animal blood carries real food safety concerns. If the blood comes from a sick animal, or if it has not been handled in sterile, controlled conditions, the risk of bacterial contamination or bloodborne pathogens is serious. Diseases such as brucellosis, salmonella, and E. coli can be transmitted this way, and parasites are also a concern depending on the species and source. Blood is a nutrient-rich medium, which is great for human nutrition, but also a perfect environment for harmful microorganisms to thrive. This makes sourcing and preparation absolutely critical. Only those who are deeply familiar with the practice, who trust their source, and who observe strict hygiene should even consider eating raw blood products. Without that knowledge and care, the dangers far outweigh the benefits. But even setting aside safety, the psychological impact of eating raw blood pudding is not trivial. For many, it evokes imagery of violence, of mortality, of something too intimate, too close to death. The very idea of drinking or eating blood feels taboo in much of the world, associated with horror films or ancient rites. This discomfort is powerful and entirely valid. It reflects deeply ingrained cultural narratives about what is clean, what is proper, what is civilized. Eating raw blood pudding forces you to confront these stories. It doesn't try to hide what it is. It brings everything to the surface, and that's part of what makes it meaningful. Because for those who grow up with it, who learn to prepare it with care, who associate it with family, celebration, or healing, it is not grotesque. It is sacred. In many cultures, from parts of Southeast Asia to Northern Europe to Africa, blood-based foods are part of ancestral memory. They represent full use of the animal, nothing wasted. They speak to a time when people were intimately connected to their food, when slaughtering an animal was a serious, spiritual act, and every part was honored. To eat blood is to remember that food comes from life. It is not grown in boxes or printed in labs. It comes with breath, with warmth, with sacrifice. Raw blood pudding is not something to eat lightly. It's not just another exotic dish to check off a list. It demands attention, respect, and readiness. It asks you to examine your fears, your prejudices, your assumptions about what is acceptable. And even if you try it once and never again, that act of trying can shift something in you. It expands your palate, yes, but more importantly, it deepens your empathy. You begin to see that food is not just about flavor. It's about survival, identity, history, culture. This is not an easy food. The risks are real, the barriers are high, and the challenge is both physical and emotional. But for those who grow up with it, or who enter its world with humility and care, raw blood pudding is not frightening. It is powerful, it is primal, and it is in its own bold, unflinching way beautiful.